He goes, well, over the years, as I've grown my business and my network, when I meet somebody and they use the phrase, oh, I already know that, I'll repeat it. Oh, I already know that. He said to me, I don't bring them into my close network. And the reason why is probably quite obvious, right? Once you say the words, I already know that, you're immediately shut down to what the conversation, where it's going to go from there. Look, we're not here to sell you transformation. We're here to share some truths, because this stage of life can sneak up on you in the best possible way.
There's a new quiet swagger that comes with it, one you earn simply by being you. We'll walk with you. You don't have to be anywhere else. Turns out it's good here, and sometimes it's even great.
Hey guys, welcome back to Turns Out This Gets Good.
We're going to talk about curiosity today.
Yeah.
Curiosity is a really important topic because I think as you go through your years, it dramatically shifts and it becomes actually more important.
So we were talking about this subject and we realized something really cool. That when you're younger, say maybe in your 20s or even 30s, and obviously even younger than that, everyone tells you that you don't know stuff. So your bosses, your friends, your parents, your teachers, and you think, yeah, they're right. But guess what that does? It makes you naturally more curious because you're like, okay, I have to find out the answers. I'm curious about how the world works or how to do adulting, which I know my son hates.
Life admin days.
Yeah. So you're actually curious,
Yeah.
which is really a great thing if you're open-minded. But then as you get older, like say from your 50s and on, which the lens that we come from.
We're the bosses now. We're the parents. We're the experts.
People tell you, oh, you've got wisdom, which is true, you do. But you start to think, naturally or accidentally, I know everything. So there's a real dangerous pit to that in that you stop being curious a little bit. And today we want to talk about how dangerous that is and how expensive that is because it really stops the possibility for friendships, for learning, for growth, for happiness, for success, not traditional, in places that you might not have thought about it because you're not curious about someone and you miss out on some greatness or a gem that they
For being
offer.
present, right? Yeah, because when you're curious about someone, you're like present and you're really listening to them and you're not like already in your mind shut down.
Yeah, so I think the important thing that we wanted to chat about today is I think when you first think of curiosity, you might just be thinking about learning as in intelligence type curiosity or book learning, which is great too, but it's just curiosity about people that you meet and what they might be struggling with that on the surface isn't the case. And I know Gay's going to talk a little bit about that too, that you just never know what someone's experiencing. So be very curious. I'm going to put my glasses on because I don't want to miss anything that we wanted to talk about.
Do you know, Ellie, you always know you're in your sort of late 40s or 50s when everyone goes out to dinner, all your girlfriends with their glasses out.
Oh, not just that, not just your glasses. Then you get your phone and you turn the light on so you can see
Or for me, because I have multifocal contacts, you take a photo of the menu and you zoom in on.
I've done that too. Like whatever you got to do to be able to see what you got to see, but it's so annoying.
Okay, so there's a quote. You just played a video for me on YouTube with a quote we adore. What is it?
Yeah, so the quote, we'll tell you the quote, but then we got to go into the video and I want you guys to go Google this.
Yeah.
In itself, maybe when you hear it, isn't earth-shattering until you go watch the video. And it's be curious, not judgmental, but it's from Ted Lasso. And if you are fans like us of Ted Lasso, and if we're talking about one-liners and wisdom, you know, like amazing. And just as a side note, at the time of recording, there's a new season about to drop. And by the way, I thought Ted Lasso was over. So this for me is just pure joy on a stick. Anyway.
Joy on a stick?
Yeah, that's real joy.
I like that.
Yeah, if it's just joy.
Can we just sell joy on a stick?
You can. You actually can.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Gay will probably tell you how to do that. How to do it. So what it is, if you Google Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental, you'll get like a 2.5-minute YouTube of the exact clip. It is so worth it, guys, to go watch it. We just watched it again. So I'll set it up, right? And you jump in, Heather. Ted is playing darts with Rupert, and Rupert is kind of like the villain in the show. And so they've agreed that for Ted to get what he wants from Rupert, who's being mean, he's got to win at darts. So they're in a bar with the whole crowd watching, and everyone's really worried, like, oh shit, Ted is going to lose because, like, Rupert's a card and a dark sharp and a jerk. And Ted's just slowly throwing the darts and putting out these one-liners, and basically one dart goes in and he's like, you know what I learned? Like, you got to be curious and you got to ask questions. Joy on a stick, questions. Because if you don't, you might not ask, hey, Ted, are you good at darts? And you see Rupert's face drop. Because guess what, guys? Ted is really good at darts. And then he just mic drops it when he hits the dart right in the bullseye and obviously wins the day.
So good.
But basically he's saying in his many Ted Lassoisms, be curious, not judgmental, because at the other side of that is pure joy in a million ways, and also beating Rupert at darts. Very, very important.
So good. So good.
And I wanted to share a story on that. That's a more pointed thing where Rupert's character was quite nasty. So this was like putting him in his place, but also making a really amazing point about the power of curiosity. And no matter what age you are or what situation you're in, that you remain curious. So my dad, who lived in Australia for 50 years, for a multitude of reasons, decided to go back to his homeland, which he left when he was 19. He escaped the Hungarian Revolution. That's a whole story, which at some point
you have to tell it more
want to tell
later,
the story because it's incredible.
It's good.
And he never thought he'd move back to Hungary because he built his life here. You know, he studied here. He had his dream job, which was working in TV, in camera and lighting, and all the things he didn't think he could have, he had here. He built his family, the family home. His kids has married my mum here. And so, but my mum died a long time ago and he got remarried later on in life, and his wife also happened to be Hungarian. So they used to chase the summer, and eventually they decided, you know what, life is great in Europe and we're going to give that a go. And he just found that he had friends and cousins there that just was so lovely for him to get back to know. So now I try and go visit him every year, which is awesome. It's part of the way we travel together. And I have this whole other family there now, and they live in a country town. So his stepkids, who are kind of our age. And I don't, because when my dad remarried, we were all grown adults, like in our 30s and 40s. So it's not like we're living together and we need to get to know each other. And they live in this quiet country town 2 hours outside of Hungary. Such a different life. And it's not that I would be judgmental of them, as per the Ted Lasso quote, but I could have thought, we're so different. I'm not going to spend much time with them. I don't need to be curious about getting to know them. I just need to visit my dad. I'll be pleasant. They're lovely. End of story. But I am curious about people, and I am curious to find how you seem so different. Like, they bake bread and pickle their own cucumbers and all the things I aspire to do that I know I'm never going to do. And it's a quiet, beautiful kind of country life, and it's so different to our lives here. And also they don't really speak good English. Thankfully, my mum and dad taught me Hungarian, and it's definitely gotten better over the years. So I spent a bit of time with my stepsister, and at first glance, someone might think you girls are so different, but curiosity. I was really curious, like, where is it that we're the same? And you know what I found out? We are. There is always something that is so the same about people. And not to generalize, but women, when we started actually talking and getting close, we felt the same way about relationships and problems with friends and how much we love shopping. And I remember that the icebreaker was, she said to me in Hungarian, Ellie, do you like shopping?
You have to say it in Hungarian.
Elika szeretsz menni vásárolni.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I said basically the equivalent of, shit, yeah. And we were off to the races. And that moment changed everything, because even though I don't, and there's, by the way, I admire this about them, even though we don't bake bread and we don't live like this quiet country life in comparison, We are so similar as well. But it was just by like wanting to get to know her, wanting to be curious. And as a result, the payoff is I have this family in Hungary that I adore. I've met their friends. I've gone out to dinner with their friends. We're planning to travel as a group. I've taken them to Budapest now for 2 years running for Girls Gone Wild in Budapest and introduced them to a whole new world of non-country living, which you're hopefully joining this year. And our two worlds have beautifully collided.
Yeah.
But you had to be curious. And that doesn't mean I was ever going to be mean. Not being curious doesn't mean you're mean like Rupert in the Ted Lasso example, but it does mean you miss out.
It's interesting. I love that story because I have sort of a memory the first time you told me that story through a slightly different lens. So I know you're mostly vegetarian, but a little bit of pescatarian, and the food there is very different. You started mentioning that too. The way I know you have an open-minded, curious mindset is because you basically said to me, oh my God, it was just fried bread the whole time. But then you very quickly said, but then she brought me tomatoes, or the neighbor brought me tomatoes. The way you flipped it, you didn't linger on negativity. You were going into like the openness of the situation.
Yeah, and it's wild.
Really
I
cool.
know. They took me to a tomato farm. This is like going on from the baking bread thing.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes down the road, there's this incredible tomato farm. And the tomato farmer heard that I was in town and they go and buy their box of tomatoes every week. And he's like, bring her, I want to meet her. And he walked me through his tomato farm. And that just would not happen here. But they know I'm just curious and I want to meet people and I want to see a whole different life. And even though they are so different to us, they're not. But that's what makes it great, that there are things that are different and there are things that are the same. And it's beautiful discovering both.
I think that's, curiosity to me, what you're saying, positivity as well. You were talking about Brene Brown as well, and this philosophy of you can be curious or you can be right. And when we were talking about this, it made me think of a guy that I know as well, because I think he's the perfect summary of that mindset as well. So in my old career, I used to run something called the Billionaire Adventure Club, and we would take entrepreneurs around the world to interesting countries and do sort of social entrepreneurial work. And we were in Cambodia with the group of people, and I had organized like a rooftop cocktail, sunset, cool hour situation.
Stuff we love.
We love. And we were overlooking the Cambodian Royal Palace. Stunning. Google it as well. Stunning building. And so this really lovely Irish guy named Dermot was sitting next to me. And I loved to get to know the members of the group because they were entrepreneurs and fascinating. I was always curious about their backstory. So I said to Dermot, you're very successful. You came from nothing and now you have this huge portfolio of investments and properties. What's something you've learned along your journey? And he said to me, oh yeah, I know exactly how to answer that question. And I said, okay, yeah, tell me. And he goes, well, over the years, as I've grown my business and my network, when I meet somebody and they use the phrase, oh, I already know that, I'll repeat it. Oh, I already know that. He said to me, I don't bring them into my close network. And the reason why is probably quite obvious, right? Once you say the words, I already know that, you're immediately shut down to what the conversation, where it's going to go from there.
And the truth is, even if you are an expert in something, there's always a new perspective, a new lens. Somebody else with a different experience had a different take on it. And it's really important not to miss that. I think that's it, and it's a bugbear for me when, I know that. I know that. And it's like that it also like dismisses people as well. It doesn't mean that they actually don't know it better. They actually might.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
But it just makes the other person feel not acknowledged and dismissed and sometimes a bit patronised even maybe.
Yeah.
And something else that I think Brene Brown says, and she's big on what you said before, like, one of my favorite sayings, which we've talked about, is I'd rather be happy than right. Yeah. And like the sort of flip that Renee is leaning with this one is you can either be curious or right, meaning it's one or the other. Like you're either trying to be right, which makes me think, and I think she talks about this as well, that curiosity stops you being in the mindset of trying to win a conversation. And I know that we all, myself included, fall into that trap, especially like if you're arguing with your partner or your close ones, or close people, that you're already ahead thinking of how can I win this point or win this conversation. But if you're curious, even if you just go, I'll just be curious, just keep saying that in your mind, then you stop trying to win. And that's
stay open to
their side. And it doesn't mean, what's
Yeah.
really important is none of this means you end up agreeing with them. None of this means you allow bad behavior. It just means, what if I missed their interpretation? I know it happens with my husband and I a lot. We're actually saying the same thing, but because we say it differently, we're assuming what the other one meant without asking follow-up questions and being curious about it. And then like 2 hours later, we figured out we actually are agreeing, but it's a long road to get there. So
No, I think you've nailed that, actually. You know, I think as we start to wrap up some of our thoughts around curiosity, one really beautiful thing that's happening right now is that curiosity is like this backbone of reinvention. And we're seeing so many successful people either starting in their 50s or later, or
Yes.
reinventing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So like people like, I remember this movie came out, the Julia Child movie.
Yes.
She started cooking at
Didn't she?
50.
No, it's Julia.
Yeah, like her. At 50, Vera Wang launched her label at 40. There's others.
Well, we've referenced her before,
Yeah.
especially because she reminds me of gay Iris Apfel, that fashion icon in New York.
Unbelievable.
If you Google her, if you haven't, please do.
Yeah.
She became famous for being a fashion icon, I believe, in her 90s.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Being curious means at any time in your life, like, things can change. And I know Gay's a great example of that she's curious about people. And I think she's going to probably talk about that because I know that's her thing. Because she knows if she's curious and she asks questions, just how her life might open up. And that's how she and I are friends, from that lens. And it's changed both our lives, like in ways I can't even express. So listen, if I can be a fashion icon in my 90s, I'm okay with that.
Not. Guys, we're living proof of this. And we said this before. Like, we're in our 50s. We're just starting this podcast.
Yeah.
We've been trying things together for a long time, and it's just never too late.
It's never too late, but we never stop talking about it.
No.
We never stopped being curious with each other, with what was around us. We just kept that curiosity going until we found the thing that actually felt right for us.
Exactly.
And this, it feels right because it's who we are right now. So we're talking from our experience, definitely not experts. And it's only because we never stopped the conversation, though. We said one day we're going to find our thing, and we just kept searching and looking
And staying
and
open.
just staying open, but not like in an arduous way, just in a let's always keep that on our shoulder and not forget. So I think maybe we hear some other voices on the topic.
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's get them on.
This is where we share voices worth listening to on today's topic. Good to know. Up next.
And here's a clip from Maddie Wilson, a mindset and nervous system coach.
I believe that curiosity is one of the most important life skills that you can have because it keeps you moving forward. And when you are a creative, when you are an incredibly ambitious person, when you are someone who is evolving, transitioning, it is something that you need. And here's why. When something doesn't work, curiosity comes in and says, interesting. Let's try that again. When we see someone else succeeding, curiosity comes in and says, what are they doing that I can learn from? And when you feel triggered, curiosity says, what is this revealing about myself that maybe I need to pay more attention to? Curiosity is what protects your growth. It keeps you from getting stuck in your ego. It keeps you from shrinking. And most importantly, it keeps you from quitting early. Curiosity turns comparison into research, emotion into insight, and failure into data. The last thing I will say is that curiosity is what allows you to build resilience without becoming rigid. So keep practicing it.
Next up, we hand things over to someone younger to decode a trend, a slang word, or something we've missed. All right, let's get the cool kids to explain.
I'm Reese. I'm 23 years old and I work in sales. I feel like as a person, I've always been naturally very curious and open-minded, which has led me to some really cool places, experienced some really cool things, and also meet some really cool people as well at the same time. My generation is more curious and less curious at the same time. It seems like every answer, every place, everything you can kind of see and know within the few clicks of a button or within a few doom scrolls. I feel like this hasn't really impacted very driven people who are from my generation to go out there and, try something with no guarantee, or go somewhere that they've never gone before, or, go for that job that they might not get. And in that sense, like, all power to those people, because, they're getting uncomfortable, they're embracing curiosity, and they're staying open-minded through experiences. There is a flip side of this at the same time. My generation can be very close-minded. Tying that very closely to fear of judgment, or I know Australia has a very bad case of tall poppy syndrome, where if you stand out from the crowd, people will kind of cut you down. And this will be disguised in harmless ways as banter, but overall, I feel like this is kind of rubbed off negatively on people in my generation, making people not want to go try, making people not curious, and making people want to stay in a certain lane and not rattle cages. I feel overall, whether you're older, you're younger, whatever it is, you should stay curious. You should keep trying to get new experiences under your belt. I feel like it really deepens you as a person, and I feel like the more the better, really. So for that, I'll leave you on some words of wisdom, I guess. So stay curious, fuck around and find out, stay open-minded.
Every episode, we pause for wisdom from someone who's been through it and learned a thing or two. Here's a word from the wise.
I don't like people who are all the same as me. It's boring, right? I like them to always be different. I don't care where people come from. You've always got an incredible story from someone too, right? Like, they might look like they live on the street. You talk to them, they might get in a Rolls Royce the next minute. You never can tell. Well, they have incredible stories. Judgment too, right? Yeah, it comes from fear, judgment. I think I was probably a bit more judgy when I was a teenager, but I got over that. I think that's part of growing up too. But I don't tend to judge people too much these days, because everyone's got a story, or they've always got a hurt, or something terrible's happened in their lives, or even not, but everybody's different. That's good. That's great. And yet you get people who only stick with the same, don't they? Because they've got the same amount of money, or they've been to the same schools, or they've got to stay with them all the time. And that's it, because it makes them feel secure. Well, I think you're missing out. Big time, right? Big time. I'll talk to anyone, really. And I'll include them too. Because actually one of the things I've always had is a way of seeing into their lives and feeling empathy for them too. Especially if somebody's not really coping with their life in a big way, and they're sad, or they're just not lost their job and they can't get another one, or not even that, just the basic person they are, really. Or they can't cope with life in some way. Well, I think that's, you've got to be empathetic, haven't you? You can't say, you're just a loser, right? It's something's happened. Things happen in life, and I've had them all. I'm still standing. It always comes down to the choice of whether you want to be happy, get on with it. Happiness is a choice, that's for sure, because you can be, except that if your child died, you couldn't say, I'm going to be happy. Well, of course, you've got to go through grief, and you're sad and affect you for the rest of your life. The rest of it, a lot of it's a choice, I think. Who wants to be angry and bitter? That'd be awful. Way to live in your head. I don't get that. Same as being awful to someone else, being hurtful. My conscience wouldn't let me do that. I just try and do the right thing, because otherwise it'll bother me forever, right? I don't want that bothering me. It's much better to make it simple, isn't it? Keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it good. Be good, be kind, and be happy.
All right, guys. So thank you for sticking with us. I hope it's made you feel curious. Why? Well, stay curious. And remember, curiosity didn't kill the cat. It actually gave her 9 lives. And the second you stop asking questions, maybe life will stop giving you interesting answers. So if today's episode hit, send it to the friend who's stopped asking questions and could do with a gentle reminder.
Next week, we are going to talk about toxicity. Oh, yes. Protecting your environment from toxicity and why the freedom to do it, I guess, gets a little bit easier as you get older. So you do not want to miss this. By the way, Gay has one sentence on toxicity that like literally immediately shuts it down from toxic people around you. You've got to tune in just to hear that sentence.
We were flawed when we did the recording. This one line is so easy to deliver and it will change everything when someone comes at you with toxic behavior.
So it turns out, as you know, something good might be closer than you think.